When writing down a joke, don't forget to cross your T's and dot your I's. Here's a look at the new McFarlane toys. Infinite Frontier, the Joker. Once a small-time crook, the Joker fell into a vat of chemicals that turned his skin white, his hair green, and his lips red like a crazed clown. His crimes always involve pranks and jokes, ending with twisted punchlines that are only funny to the Joker. He may seem like he's clowning around, but this guy is bad news for Batman and Gotham City. While Mr. J is missing a peeper because of his pudding, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of the brand new Infinite Frontier Joker. We can have a look at this review. I'm going to also bring in a couple of Jokers in a moment, so certainly stay tuned for that. But let's, in the meantime, though, grab the tape measure just to see how tall the figure stands. Because of his bigger mane, it does result in this Joker being a slightly taller figure. It gives us a figure that's about 7 inches in height, or the figure's about 17.5 centimeters tall. And while I say he's actually a taller Joker, he's not really a taller Joker. It's only really just the hair that gives him the extra little bit of height. To just show you what that means, I'm going to actually bring in some older J's to compare it with the new J on the block. Here's what the Joker from the Infinite Frontier looks like, along with the Batman Death of the Family, or skinned mask Joker, provided I can get him a stand. You can see in a case like this that the Infinite Frontier Joker, is actually shorter if you go from shoulder to shoulder. Again, it's only the height that gives him the hair height that makes him just that little tad bit taller. Another comparison we can also do is to bring in the three Jokers comedian Joker, which again, to only show you guys that the body used here for the Infinite Frontier is not only brand new, but it's also a lot shorter than the two Jokers on either side of him. Higher hair aside, though, the figure comes included with 3 accessories. Well, if you technically count a trading card as an accessory. If you don't, then subtract it by 1. The figure only comes included with 2. Those 2 happen to be a display stand, for example. A circular black display stand that has the DC logo down below, one singular peg up the top corner that can plug into the underside of either one of Joker's feet. You only have 1 peg, but you have 2 feet, so kind of have to choose for yourself which side you want to plug this in place. We're going to put that to the side, and not really a thing that you would count technically as an accessory. I mean, it's an accessory to the packaging, but it's not something you can necessarily display with the figure. Not that I'm going to say you can't display a trading card with your figure. If you did want to have it, say, like behind the figure, next to the figure, in front of the figure, you can do whatever you want. Either way, though, we do get ourselves a trading card here of the Joker from Infinite Frontier, and once again, pleasantly surprised to see that we actually got ourselves artwork rather than figure photography. Figure photography is fine and good no matter how well you light it and how cool the background is, but it's always nice when you get yourself an actual trading card, though a little warped, unfortunately, in my case. It's always nice to actually get one that actually has artwork rather than figure photography. On the back, though, at this time around of printing this card, he doesn't have a real name yet, and you can see there's a paragraph read. You can read for yourself, or it's the same thing I read at the beginning. Shh. Why are we whispering? It's not like we're keeping it a secret. It is the same, in fact, thing I read at the beginning of the video, so we're going to put that to the side. The figure also comes included with quite a large knife. The knife itself not sharp to the touch, so it's not going to be drawing any bit of blood, but it certainly looks like it could inflict some serious bad damage. It looks like it's been painted. I can't 100% say whether it's been molded in the silver plastic. Judging by how shiny it is, I'm willing to believe it's actually been painted. The handle has also been equally painted, although differently done here in brown. And it's really a nice looking blade. It's not too thick of a handle either, that when I'm putting it into his hand, it doesn't feel a look obnoxious in his hand. By the way, when you are putting it into his hand, you can only want to put it on this side because this other side is currently occupied. I'll talk more about that in a moment. In the meantime, though, let's go ahead and get the knife in his hand. Simply slide it down into the finger grip. Providing, again, you don't have any stumbling. There we go. You can get the very large Joker knife. Not that we have to put Joker in the front of everything he comes included with, but he comes included with a very cool looking knife that's definitely going to be displayed along with the figure. As I did certainly say, he is currently occupied. The other hand is currently holding something. Let's go ahead to remove the knife first, and then we can talk about exactly what it is he's holding. So in the comic run, Joker actually ends up losing his eye. And anyone want to guess as to which eye it is? Yes, it's this side right here. I don't know if you can actually see the way it's been stitched up here, but he actually ends up having his eye, I think, shot. And I think Harley Quinn's responsible for that. Don't worry, he doesn't lose the eye necessarily. He ends up keeping it with him. You can actually see in this case, like in the comics, Joker has the eye in between his fingers. That's a cool feature, the fact that they would have actually included it. If I could, though, say one thing to that, adding on to the idea of getting extra accessories, while I love the idea that this Joker, this specific Joker, happens to have his missing eyeball that would normally belong here, actually in his hand, I would have also liked if they could have included a secondary hand that didn't have an eye, just in case you wanted just to display the figure without it, ignoring obviously the oversight of the fact he is actually missing one thing on his face, and just including like a regular hand. Just, again, if you wanted to have him displayed with something else other than an eyeball. Head sculpt wise, though, I'm really happy with how this one turned out. They did certainly want to make Joker a little bit more, I don't want to say like sexy, but certainly more like a fit sort of model designed Joker. So he looks less sinister and certainly more something like you would expect to see walking down the runway. I don't mind certainly the look of the Joker, and it does look quite well for a Joker-looking figure as well. He's missing teeth. I don't want to say like he's missing teeth that if you were to open his mouth, he's actually missing chompers inside. But in this case, he's actually only been sculpted with just a smile. And I got to say, like, the smile alone is more than enough for me. The smile works quite well for the Joker. Very chiseled looking face also as well. I like the way also that they've airbrushed the darker sections around his eye. I say eye singular, as of course he's missing the other one. Yeah, again, I really like this head sculpt. The hair is a little busy. I mean, I will admit, like, the hair does jet up quite a lot. It sort of looks like the way that the Green Goblin looks like in Amazing Spider-Man 2. What was the deal with that design? So instead of actually giving him a hat, let's just spike his hair up to look like a hat. Joker's sort of kind of taking some cues from that. He actually has this really weird sort of spiked up hair. Again, like, it looks good for a Joker character. Like, I gotta say, like, this design of Joker, I like as an actual plastic figure. Now, of course, when it comes to his body, he still has all the things you'd expect for Joker to have, like a tail jacket on the back here. It's all made of a softer plastic. The coloring, I would have to say, for his purple, let's just reach off to the side here. I wasn't really planning to bring back in all these figures now that I've got them stacked to the side here. I just want to bring back in, for example, for this, at least this was the skin mask Joker from, of course, Batman Death of the Family. When you, again, compare the purples, this is a much more recognizable purple, I would say, for Joker. This Joker actually has more sporting a pink color. Again, like the design of the suit, the design of the jacket and the pants that would follow from that are actually nice looking figures. I couldn't help but also notice too that it looks like they're sharing some very similar molds. Maybe not necessarily the top of the pants, but it does look like the lower pants or lower cuffs seem like they're using similar molds, which, again, I can't fault them for doing that. The back of the jacket, completely different, so I wouldn't be able to look at them and say that they're using one from the other. But again, the colors are a little bit more of a lighter purple, kind of actually more in vein with like the Cesar Romero Joker when it gets down to the designing of it. He's got inside underneath. Now, underneath only just implies the way they've sculpted it. You can't actually have the jacket separate from the vest, but the vest is green underneath. You got a very, in this case, is this one of the only few Jokers I can think of that actually does not have his tie? Instead, this is Cool Cat Joker, where he only has his collar popped like this. For those that don't like people that walking around with popped collars, you may not actually like this Joker. I gotta say, I kind of like the look of it. Of course, he's got one flower. This flower looks like it needs watering. Poor flower looks like it's dying, but it's actually just a separate bit of molded plastic. And overall, again, really, really neat looking Joker. If I could only just overlook, stating somewhat the irony and all that, just overlooking the fact that this Joker always will have an eyeball in his hand. I don't think there's really anything I would have changed this figure at all. He's very lean, he's very mean, and of course when it comes to the articulation, he's going to be pretty much the same as all the other Jokers we've looked at before. That is, the figure's going to have a ball joint in the head, so you can really rotate the head all the way around. It can have it looking up, you can have the head looking down, and in between you can also have it rocking back and forth. There's quite a lot of mileage to be made from the way they've actually jointed the head here of Joker. I love, again, that head sculpt. That's such a good looking head. The arms actually do hinge out way beyond the point of a 90-degree angle bend. You can take those arms, rotate them all the way around. You can do that until the cows come home, whether he's got an eyeball in his hand or not. Figure does have a bicep swivel. Figure does also have possessing a double hinge on the elbow, and the hands also rotate all the way around. The upper torso being that the jacket, the vest, and the shirt are all one piece. They sort of all have to go along. When you have your older brother or your friend goes out with his older brother, and then, of course, the younger brother always has to tag along. It's essentially what's going to happen here. The jacket has to move, the vest has to move, and, of course, the shirt has to all move. So, again, there's all one ball joint working to move all three parts. Legs are on ratchet joints once again, so you can give Joker nice splits in the legs. You can move the legs forward. You can move the legs back. And this, again, is softer plastic that they would have used, but it doesn't have as much like the diaper. Some people usually criticize like the lower half of their bodies because they have to use the trunks in a softer plastic, sort of have coined the term diaper. I don't feel it looks as much like a diaper here on Joker, on this Joker, whereas, say, when we have a look at this Joker has very much more an obvious diaper. But again, for Joker's legs, you can bring them forward, you can bring them back. There's a mild swivel at the top of the thigh, double hinge on the knee, and then there's the articulation. I didn't even mention the fact that the spats are slightly darker color. Normally expect to see white. In this case, you actually get more of a more of a darker gray. But they hinge back and forth. There's some decent toe articulation. Yeah, again, really nice looking Joker. Some may be turned off the idea that this is more of a supermodel Joker, but I gotta say, like, I like the design of this quite a lot, even if he does have a little more of a crazier hairstyle. The only thing, again, I would have added on to this figure outside of the additional knife, of course, the figure comes included with, is maybe, again, a swapped out hand. I love the idea, the gimmick of having an actual eyeball in his hand to show that the eyeball is still there. Joker has it as part of his collection. But maybe rather also throw in an extra hand if you want to have the figure displayed without the eyeball. The way I've got Joker displayed here in final looks as he spins around in the rotisserie actually gives me one other idea that I wish the team could have also included when it comes to this figure. Now, I know the real sell of this is the fact that he does have the eyeball in between his fingers like chopsticks on the one side of his body. And I did mention in the review that it would have been nice that the Joker could have come included with a regular gripping hand. That way you could have actually had the figure displayed with a knife on either side of his body. But as I'm looking at this right now, I did this only more joking than anything else. How fun it would have also been that they could have included a swapped out hand for the other side of his body, because of course the socket for the origin of that eyeball is on the other side. You could have actually had him holding up the eyeball to his eye as if he still has the means to look through that. That's certainly something sadistic you'd expect the Clown Prince of Crime to do. I like the design of just Joker myself. I mean, some people like the more sadistic smiling Joker, and it's ironic that this Joker doesn't even show any teeth whatsoever. I like the design of him myself. I'm not super crazy about the way they've sculpted his hair, but to be fair, that's also the way he's designed in the comics as well. This design of Joker from the Infinite Frontier definitely goes the more the different direction of Joker, where they really want to make him kind of more of an attractive, I don't want to say sexier looking Joker, but if you ever see him in the comics, that's definitely the direction that they definitely wanted to go with the character. I think it translates really well to a nice plastic looking Joker that goes well on the shelf with, say, the likes of Hush Batman we just recently looked at here on this channel. Is this going to be everyone's favorite Joker? Probably not. But this one actually sits pretty high for me. I like the designing of the face. I love the way the costume looks. And it's also one of the Jokers, the only few Jokers I can think of that actually does have a popped collar. So if you think to yourself, hey, I wish there was actually a Joker with a popped collar. What were your other two wishes? Questions answered. But what do you guys think of this Joker? Let me know down below in the comments section. Do you think it's too far of a departure from what we're used to seeing with the Clown Prince of Crime? Have you read the Infinite Frontier Joker? And if you have, let me know down below in the comments section what you think of that depiction of the Joker. In the meantime, though, I'd like to certainly thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of the brand new Infinite Frontier Joker that we could have a look at in this review. If you enjoyed this video, want to hit with a like. If you're loving the content you guys are certainly seeing and do want to certainly stick around for more DC Multiverse reviews, then make sure that you're hitting the subscribe button down below, and making sure that you're also turning on the bell notification, and making sure that you're coming back here on a regular basis. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.